All right, all right. Good evening and good night, and welcome to the It's Your Perspective Talk Show. It is Thursday, June 15th. My name is David, a.k.a. Kimba, a.k.a. Christian, alongside
Cindy Ivo Frontal.
Thanks for filling in tonight. Soup is on special assignment, so we brought in Cindy to help us out tonight. So how you doing?
I'm doing well, and it's always a pleasure.
All right, man. Thanks for coming in and help us out tonight. I just want to say real quick that this is the It's Your Perspective Talk Show every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We do have a telephone number for sure. Dial 340-201-9005. You need to call or text us on that number. Most importantly, you have to go to our website, streaming live from the vi.com. Go to that website and click on the tab at the top that says Watch Us Live, and you'll be able to see the show tonight because we do have some special guests in the studio. What else, real quick? We're in the green room here at the high-tech, low-tech studio, coming to you from an undisclosed location here in St. Croix, Virgin Islands. No radio or TV, internet only. Anything you want to add real quick, Cindy?
Well, all recorded live shows on youtube.com and ustream.tv, and you can always search for our channel. It's Your Perspective Talk Show.
Perfect, man. Perfect. So we're going to jump right on into it. Soup is on special assignment tonight, so we're going to jump right on it tonight. We do have some special guests in the studio. I'll bring them up on the camera right there. You guys wave to the crowd. You guys are live right now. How you guys doing tonight?
Very good.
Yeah, we're great.
Happy to be here.
Happy to be here. Okay, so we have, let me see if I got my notes here. Paulita
Bennett-Martin.
And then we have Holden Harris.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for coming to the studio tonight. So, Lionfish.
Yeah.
That's you guys' area of expertise, right?
Yes.
Okay. So, if I could just say to you real quick, I did hear over the years that lionfish are in the area. What I didn't realize is that I guess a group like yours was here, like doing research, and I guess there's some kind of push to sort of get the Virgin Islanders more involved in I guess the if I could say this.
Basically taking advantage of the lionfish that we have, right?
Definitely.
Okay. So tell us a little bit about what you guys are doing first. So this is your maybe second or third year here?
Yes, this is our second year here.
Okay.
We were here 3 months last summer as well, and that was really when we worked on the research component.
Okay.
And we worked in St. Croix and St. Thomas, and focused on 4 primary groups of people. That would be local consumers, restaurant owners or chefs, fishermen, and tourists. And we did lengthy surveys, over 700 to be exact. And so we were looking for overlap between all those different groups of people.
Okay.
That would be an indicator that you could have a lionfish market here in the Virgin Islands specifically. And our research was created to kind of offer or enhance or push that along to motivate other people to take the research and use it to build that market.
Okay. So tell us a little bit more specifically about the lionfish. I mean, I've seen some pictures. They look kind of scary. I heard they're dangerous. They're maybe poisonous too.
I heard they're deadly.
No. There's a lot of misinformation going around, so you guys aren't the only one. But that's not the case at all.
Okay.
So lionfish, they're a problem. They're causing a lot of ecological harm to the native reef fish species because they're an alien. Basically, they evolved in a whole different system. So they're from the Indo-Pacific, and they were taken over and dropped out here. And from what we can tell, the invasion started, we had reported sightings in about the mid-'80s from South Florida.
Okay.
And then for a long time, not much seems to happen, and then it seems like a breeding density emerged at about 2000. And then all of a sudden, we start to see this huge spread of lionfish. So it goes up the eastern seaboard. We start seeing really high densities up out into Bermuda. Gets caught in the currents, comes down in 2007. We see them in the Bahamas. 2008, we get the first sightings here.
Okay.
And now, about 10 years later, they're all over the Caribbean, really high densities, northern Gulf of Mexico, all the way down into South America. And the invasion's expected to continue to spread. So the reason that we think that the idea comes out that they're dangerous, not only are they bad for the native fish species, but they have these spines. So you might be able to see on the t-shirt, these spines on here have a venom. And if you get poked by them, it hurts. It hurts a lot.
Okay.
We won't. It varies. Some people say it's like a bee sting. Some people have had it as bad as a stingray sting. Usually, it's not too bad. No one's ever died from a sting. But the problem that people sometimes have is when you hear something that's venomous, you think poisonous. But you can eat it. It's actually, the meat is fine. The venom that's in the spine is not in the meat at all.
So the problem basically with the lionfish is that it's bad for the other fish in the sea. It's bad for the fishing industry, basically. Is that what it is?
Exactly.
Okay. So you mentioned too that, if I was correctly, that they were dropped. Someone dropped them off. I mean, did someone like transport them from another area, or how did they come to get in this area?
We're still not sure about this. There's been some research. What we think is from aquariums. We think that people had them in aquariums because they do eat a lot of fish. They probably were eating all the other fish in the aquarium, and we think that people, rather than killing the fish, just let them out into the ocean.
Okay. And that's how that got started.
Yeah.
That's what we think.
Well, and there's other thoughts on that too. So there's large commercial aquariums as well that you have in the Bahamas. I believe there was one in St. Thomas at some point. And so those larger aquariums feed water out into the open ocean as well. And so they may or may not have transmitted eggs through that system.
Okay.
And then some people also question the capacity for large freighter ships to maybe have ballast water that is, bringing them across as well. So the most common thought is about the home aquariums, but there's many thoughts on this, and it could be that it's multi-pronged.
Yeah. So you can actually go to a fish store and buy these?
It depends. It depends on where you go. So when you go in Florida, many stores in Florida are now carrying lionfish and selling lionfish. But right now, in St. Croix, when you go to the fish store, you can't find them anywhere.
Okay.
So what caused you to base your study in the Virgin Islands? Is it because this is where they're coming more?
I think that definitely motivated it. So there's a couple of primary investigators on the research, and they are Dr. Tracy Yendel, Dr. Jennifer Sweeney-Tooks,
Dr. Sherry Larkin.
And they work at Emory University, Georgia Southern, and University of Florida. Mm-hmm. And so the funds came through Sea Grant, Georgia Sea Grant, which does a lot of funding of research that's more applied, meaning how does this research get to be used by people outside of research.
Okay.
And so a lot of people in the fisheries had mentioned that the Virgin Islands was having problems with lionfish and that this would be a good area to work in. I don't know, do you know if there's any other factors that kind of played into this?
I think that what NOAA and other agencies looked at is that in some areas lionfish is really being consumed a lot, and it's having a effect on the lionfish populations and controlling their densities, reducing them, and then mitigating their effects, making it having positive impacts on the native fish and invertebrate communities. But when you look down at the Virgin Islands, that hasn't happened yet. And I think they wanted to know how come you can go to the store in Florida and you can get lionfish, but you can't go to the store in the Virgin Islands and get lionfish when we know there's plenty of lionfish in the water.
Okay. So when you say there's plenty, I mean, we're talking like thousands? I mean, is that a fair number, or maybe hundreds?
I would say over the course of the entire your coral reef area, I would say thousands. So I think the best estimates for this area would probably be similar to the Bahamas, which is it would range between about 100 to 400 fish per hectare. So that's a kilometer by kilometer square.
Okay.
And I couldn't tell you how many hectares we have around the reefs on the Virgin Islands. But yeah, when you scale it up, I would say you could say there's thousands of lionfish around here.
Okay, so you're talking about primarily the reef on the north side, or just reefs in general around the island, St. Croix, St. Thomas, and St. John?
All the reefs.
All the reefs have them?
Yeah, everywhere. Now, we've learned a whole lot from talking with the fishermen, and so much of what we're saying is from spending months and months on the island talking from the fishermen. What they tell us is on the north side, there was some lionfish, but now there's not too many. On the south side and the west side, and then out towards Lang Bank, there's still a lot of lionfish.
Okay. So do these fish could come up beyond the reef and come close in?
Yeah.
Okay.
There is shallow as water as they're in the mangroves, they're in seagrasses.
Okay.
They can be as shallow as a couple feet of water and as deep as 1,000 feet.
Okay.
You can sometimes see them off of Christianstead, just walking around the boardwalk there. In fact,
When you look over the side there, you can see
Yep.
them in the water right there?
Yep.
in fact, one of the fishermen was telling us the other day that on his dock he went in to find something in the water, and there were lionfish on his dock where his boats are. So they're coming
do the
everywhere.
fishermen, from speaking to them, do they actually catch this fish? This type of fish, is it usually a fish that they pull in when they pull in the other fish?
They are catching it as part of their bycatch. They're not targeting it necessarily.
Okay.
There's a couple of people, all told, through both St. Thomas and St. Croix that we met that are targeting it because they've cultivated some clients and they're not afraid to handle it. They deal with it and they're running with it because they see that they can make some money on it.
Okay.
So that is an interesting question because what's important is that we recognize they don't necessarily have to target the lionfish. If they're already out there fishing for what it is that they normally sell, if they can also pull in lionfish, it's just a new fish to add to their portfolio. So when
Okay.
they open that cooler up, it's like you see the 2 or 3 things that they always carry, but then now you have lionfish in there as well. And it's a very high quality fish. So it's it would probably sell for a higher price in a restaurant once people start getting used to eating it.
And they'll need to know how to care for it or how to handle it per se when they take it out or they get it in their net, right? Because you said that venomous spine, it can cause some type of injury. So I guess there should be some lessons given to the fishermen on how to handle that fish if they come in contact with that fish, correct?
Yep, you're exactly right. And that's our purpose of coming back. So after we did the research and learned lots and lots from the surveys that we did with the fishermen and the consumers and the restaurants, what we're doing coming back is letting them know what we learned from them, talking with all these different sides, but then also, what can they do to help sell this fish? And it starts with being able to catch the fish safely and get it to your restaurant to then get it to the person that's going to end up eating the fish. So we're doing demonstrations.
Yeah, I see that you have a schedule here where you schedule some demonstration and actually a night at Balta where I assume we can taste the fish.
Oh, yeah.
So tell us about that.
So tomorrow night we have our first event open to the public, which is a handling session. And it's just showing how to hold and how to cut and clean the lionfish all the way down to filleting them. And that'll be at the Ag Center on Centerline tomorrow at 5 p.m. And then Saturday night, Balter will be hosting a lionfish night, Balter Restaurant in Christianstead. I want to say we'll be there with a table and information and some giveaways for fishermen. So we have these awesome gift packs that kind of help fishermen to be able to work with lionfish. And so we'll be there from 5 to 8 with those supplies and definitely eating the lionfish as well because it's so good.
So you guys have already
Yeah.
caught the fish? Or how's that part?
People are going out tomorrow, Saturday, and Sunday, so the fish will be as fresh as possible. It'll be like same day catch or the afternoon before it's cooked. Yeah.
Does the fish vary in size? You said filleting the fish. I know a nice big fillet is what's in my mind. So how big can this fish get?
They get, we see them pretty small for little bitty to a good size. They get as big as about 16 to 17 inches. Most of them that we see are about 12 inches, about a foot long. So you take it off, less than a pound of meat. And that's been an issue with people asking for, plates. Some people want big plates of fish. And except for the biggest fish, you don't get these big plates. But there's a lot of things that you can do even with small fillets. You can make tacos out of it. It makes very fine ceviche, which is when you cook it in lime, because it really takes on, it has a really good, delicate flavor for the ceviche.
Okay. So I'm taking you guys have tried it already.
I'm sure.
I can't even count how many lionfish we ate here last summer. We had a cooler of lionfish and a cooler of lobster continuously being filled from all the work. And
Okay. So what does it taste like? I mean, I like salmon. I eat snapper. I mean, what is it?
I compare it to grouper.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I would say grouper or hind, butterfish. It's
Okay.
similar to that is from what we've heard from a lot of the fishermen that are eating them, or for people that eat hogfish. It's very similar.
Okay.
Hogfish, you've heard of hogfish?
I've heard it. I've never had it. I try to keep my fish eating very kind of slender. I stick to like salmon and that kind of stuff. So when you were here last year and you were doing your research, you guys were out swimming around down by the reefs and taking pictures. And I mean, how does that work more specifically?
Well, a lot of our work was actually spent with our crew. There were three of us. Holden is working on his doctorate right now at University of Florida. Myself, I'm a development professional. And then we had another researcher with us named Natalie, and we were assigned to the fisherman cohort, group. And so we spent a lot of time out talking to them, kind of shadowing them, learning what it is that they do. And then Holden also got involved with a local group called CORE, who goes out to hunt lionfish as well. They try to keep the populations down, and they're hobbyists or enthusiasts.
Mm-hmm.
And so there was time in the water, but there was a lot of time in the community. I mean, just dense. Like by the time we left here, we just felt so close to everyone because we really spent a lot of time trying to understand the fisheries here and how people,
Yeah.
Do you think you covered a large percentage of the fishermen or in the community? Yeah. Well, because I'm interested in June 16th. That's tomorrow.
That's tomorrow, yeah.
And it's at 5 p.m. The free handling lessons at the Agricultural Center.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm hoping that all the fishermen come out, and so I assume that they're aware of this and that this is happening. Right?
We hope so. So tonight, Dr. Sweeney Tooks is also here with us, and she was at the Fisheries educational session over at UVI.
Okay.
And so we got to reach, I want to say when we left there was about 75 fishermen signed in.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good turnout.
Yeah, so we got some good outreach there, and then also we just kind of hit the road, flyering, going to all the spots that we were, where the fishermen kind of put their boats in or come out or where they sell. So we've been trying to reach out to everybody, but we hope to see some good numbers come out through the weekend because, like I said, we have these great packages that we prepared for the fishermen, and I think that when everyone gathers around this issue, it creates energy and momentum for it. And that's what we hope to see because there is a potential for people to make money off the fish.
Mm-hmm.
And then it also helps protect the reef systems and the species.
What's the interest like with the restaurants? I know you mentioned Balta, but do you have a wide variety of restaurants on the islands that are interested in this? Yeah,
the restaurants actually were very interested through the surveys. They said at a reason, I want to say it was 3/4 of all the restaurants surveyed, which was a lot of most of the restaurants on the island, had at least some interest to high interest in buying lionfish and putting it on their menu.
Okay.
And since we've been gone, we've also learned that a few people have started introducing lionfish dishes at their restaurants. So it's growing.
It's growing.
Yeah, and the chefs that have tried it and know it are familiar with it and know that it's really good. but it's right now it's still a supply issue because they're still looking for reliable supply. And once we start having more and more fishermen, they can say, yeah, we can consistently put it on your menu. We'll consistently get lionfish for you. They want to prepare it, feed people. They just need to know that they can get the lionfish.
Okay. So in general, the fishermen are in support of fishing for lionfish. I mean, as opposed to like other fish. I mean, they're okay with this.
How would you? There are some that are very comfortable already. There are some that need with a little coaxing. I think would be added into what they're fishing.
But you use the word coaxing, so is that because they're not sure about the fish?
Yeah, they're kind of not sure. They're not sure that they have a customer. They're not sure that they want to handle it. You know, and you do need specific equipment to handle the lionfish because you have to keep yourself protected from the spines when you get it into the boat. So just today I was speaking with a fisherman who said that he killed several today, but he didn't have the gear to bring them up out of the water and have them on the boat with him and his crew.
Yeah, I think I saw some pictures where you have to have maybe like a sort of a 3-prong kind of handle, kind of a mechanism there. Is that what they need, or they need a little bit more than that?
That's just one of the tools for grabbing and holding them, but you need something that is like a shell. And so zookeepers, is that what?
Yeah. So there's two main probably methods for catching lionfish. So to start off, we catch them diving, and that's part of the issue with them is with hook and line. You don't really catch them on hook and line. It's very rare. Diving, you see a lot of them, and that's how you have to get them. So you have to go under to get them, and there's two primary ways. One is use either a zookeeper or something, a hard shell to put them in, and then you use that 3-prong that you were mentioning, and you shoot them. You take it, and then you put it in the zookeeper, pull it out, and it keeps it inside of them. Okay. The other way is that if you shoot them and you don't have that hard plastic shell, which a lot of the fishermen down here adding that to what they're already doing underwater might be too much. But what some of the fishermen have started doing and is using scissors, basically the medical shears, and they cut the spines off underwater. And some people say, well, that's too much work. But the people that once they start doing it, it's really quick, all the spines, and then it's just like any other fish. They put it in their bag and they forget about it.
Yeah. So you don't need any kind of special gloves or anything. Just as long as you have this holding mechanism, you can cut the spines off and then just put it in your cooler on some ice, and it's okay until it gets to the restaurant.
Yep.
Pretty much.
Exactly.
Okay. So when you said too that you have to go diving, so there's no net. You can't cast your net and come back a few hours.
No.
And just pull in. You can't pull in.
No, that doesn't work.
Nope.
That doesn't work for lionfish?
Nope, doesn't work for lionfish. That's part of the reason why it's hard to get them. You have to go underwater and get them. Now in St. Croix, a lot of the fishermen fish like that already. But right now, most of them aren't targeting lionfish. They see tons of them. They say they see them everywhere. Okay. They don't like them. They know that they're eating all the fish.
Okay. So this lionfish is eating other fish?
Yeah,
that's just
they eat the fish they want to catch.
Yeah. Right? I mean, so is this like a predator type of fish?
Yes.
Okay.
That's a great way to describe it. Yes. And they go after juvenile fish.
Okay.
So they quickly decimate populations. And they don't have a lot of predators themselves here because this is not their area. This is not their native area.
Okay.
And so there are reports that different species are beginning to figure out how to eat them. So I think sharks have been spotted eating them, and I believe, we just saw a video of an octopus eating one. And then. So
how does an octopus deal with the spines? I mean, I guess the spine.
I think what they do is sort of turn them around so that when they're swallowing them, the spines just kind of get shoved down, and so that they're not just poking straight into their mouth.
So does this poison, I guess, does it affect like sea animals too? Should a sea animal get stuck, it could die from...
You know, we're not sure about that. That's something that the research is still unclear about.
Okay.
That we don't know. We do know that most fish don't choose to eat lionfish. They've put lionfish in with groupers in tanks and then starved the grouper to see if it would eat the lionfish, and it didn't. And they behave different in tanks. And they're starting to see, we didn't used to see that. Divers are now putting more videos up where we're seeing groupers, eels, some sharks starting to eat lionfish. Overall, though, we don't really think that that's really enough to really slow their population density down. And something that we, at first, people thought is that, well, we'll teach the sharks to eat lionfish. So we'll shoot them and then we'll feed the dead fish to the sharks. We know now that we really shouldn't do that. We really shouldn't mess with the natural balance of prey and predators. And another thing is that people started to get bit by barracudas and sharks by starting to give those fish to the sharks. So now we encourage anyone that kills a lionfish, even if it's small, take it up with them, eat it, throw it out, but don't give it to the sharks and don't give it to the food down there, because that encourages the sharks to then follow divers and creates more aggressive behavior.
Okay, I got you.
Interesting.
So you catch a lionfish and you get it up, and so you get rid of the I don't know, the spine. The spine.
Mm-hmm.
So the spine is separated. Is it still venomous? Is it still poisonous at that point once it's been separated from the fish itself, or does it still have to be a part of the fish for it to be dangerous?
You can still have some venom in the spine itself, but generally once it's cut, then you just want to safely either throw them out, or there's other uses for the spines as well.
Oh really? Okay, like
Well, some people are making jewelry with them.
Oh, okay.
So earrings, necklaces, really beautiful kind of antique style hair combs.
Okay.
And they're quite stunning looking. I know in some countries, people have started small cottage industries and are getting requests for the jewelry all over the world now.
Oh really? Okay.
So it's yet again another way to dice up this fish and have more uses for it.
Okay.
And to be clear, when you bake the spines, so the venom denatures. So
Okay, I was getting okay.
they're not. They won't accidentally poke you.
Yeah, there's different processes that everyone uses for it.
Okay.
But it has to do with heat. It's the heat that makes them
Sort
safe.
of neutralizes the...
Exactly. And
okay.
it's the same for if you get stung. It's heat that you want to apply to your sting.
By what method?
Hot water.
Hot water?
As
Hot as you
get
can
it.
stand.
Oh, really? Okay. I got you. So is the government here like in favor of this? I don't know if you guys have this whole process has to go through some kind of legislation and that kind of governmental kind of stuff, or is this something that once everybody's on board, it just goes from there?
There really hasn't been any. We haven't looked necessarily at any legislative actions on this, but we've had a really good amount of time working with DPNR, Fish and Wildlife, and they have been excellent to work with. They're all about protecting their fisheries and having a sustainable fishery.
Okay.
So we're communicating heavily with them and usually work a lot of the fisheries events with them. But as far as legislative, I don't know that there's any moving parts to that quite yet.
Okay, good.
And I see that, Pauletta, that you're the chief at the Coastal Advocacy. Is that a local organization or national?
That is, so I work for an organization now called 100 Miles. And so this research was done through Emory. I worked and studied at Emory for my graduate studies. When I left there, I went to work at 100 Miles. And we are a coastal advocacy organization that works to protect the 100-mile coast of Georgia. And so a lot of similar work and interests. And then the PIs on this research called me up and called Holden up and asked us to come back out because we were here so long last time, and we really kind of got involved in the community quite a bit.
Okay. Okay. So let's go back to, do you have to dive down to catch a lionfish? So do you need like a spear gun, or how does that actually work when you're down there and you see a few in front of you? I mean, how do you actually catch it?
Well, you have to shoot it, basically.
Oh, really?
So you can either use the 3-prong pole spear.
Okay.
So it's, if you picture a pole, and then at the end there's 3 sharp points at the end.
Yes.
And then there's basically a band on the end, kind of like a rubber band. And you pull it down and then point it at the lionfish. Now lionfish, nothing really eats them, so they're not really afraid of anything. So they're actually pretty easy to shoot. They just kind of sit there, and then you shoot them. It's like picking up trash. The other thing is you can use a spear gun, just like you spear other fish.
But wouldn't that the force of that be too much for that fish? And like sort of maybe destroy it? I mean, in a sense, like.
No, you actually, and the good fishermen, watching them, they usually shoot the fish in the head, so it leaves the meat intact.
Okay.
The commercial fishermen here, I mean, they're pros. They do it 5-6 days a week, year after year, thousands, tens of thousands of hours doing this.
Okay.
They don't miss.
Okay. Okay. I got you. So, if we don't get this under control, what's going to happen to our reefs? I mean, everything's going to be eaten there, and then is that going to just throw the whole ecosystem off?
We don't know. There's in the science community, some of this varies. On one side, some people say the ocean the animals will figure this out. There's other scientists that say this is a really huge problem. What we've seen on the small scales is that on a single lionfish on a reef can reduce the amount of small fish that come on that reef by 80%. And there's some research that shows that that's scaled up to large scale areas in the Bahamas.
Okay.
And so there's some researchers that say that this is one of the biggest problems in the Caribbean and the Atlantic Ocean is lionfish.
Is lionfish? Wow. Okay.
And how does the reef work together with fish to so that it doesn't erode? How does that work? The fish and the reef.
Well, it's all in this kind of beautiful system together. So the reef provides shelter for the fish. The fish actually provide a lot of nutrients for the reef from their poop, from their fish poop. A lot of fish and corals have symbiotic relationships where we know if we take out the fish that we lose the corals. And one of the most important things that we've learned is that when you take out the herbivores on the reef, so the fish that eat the algae, if you remove those, the algae overgrows the reef. And one of the big problems is we know that lionfish eat the herbivores, which is parrotfish and the damselfishes, a lot of these fish. And so there's some evidence that if you take out the lionfish, you have the lionfish eat more of the herbivores, and then you have more algae.
Okay.
Well, we certainly want to preserve our reef, so I think this is a good thing what you guys are doing.
So is this when this stuff is like happening over years or just over tens of years? I mean that this, if it's not under control. So I guess if it's not controlled by catching them, I mean at one point then everything down below at the reef could potentially be lionfish. Is pretty much what you're saying, correct?
That's possible. The ocean, things will probably figure out, but especially with some of these other stressors that we're looking at, with climate change, with pollution, we really don't know what's going to happen. We know we've lost a lot of reef already, and unless we start really taking a proactive approach and protecting our reefs, and it's not just lionfish, it's across the boards. That we might continue to lose reefs, and it might be one day that we're telling our grandchildren about corals, and they don't get to see them.
Yeah. Interesting. So how far back So lionfish are always around. I mean, from beginning of time, and if they've just kind of evolved, or it seems like they just kind of came on the scene all of a sudden in the last few years. I mean, were they just this fish that was always there in the ocean?
I mean, they were there. They were there in their home spaces, though. So the Indo-Pacific waters is where they would have been. That was their range. But once they got, just similar to most invasive species issues, once they get into an area that's not their native area, it wreaks havoc because there's nobody there in this new space that's bigger and badder than them that can control their populations. So back home, their populations are not an issue, but they also have predators. Here, it's not home for them, and so.
But who are some of their predators back in their home in the Pacific? I mean, so when you say predators, something was attacking them or could attack them?
Some of the native the native large fish we think eat them. We know bobbit worms eat them, which is a very scary worm that's over in the Indo-Pacific. The sharks over there, they eat them. So the Indo-Pacific reefs it's a much older, more biodiverse reef system. So the animals that evolved there have a much different evolution path than the ones over in the Caribbean. Okay. So think of like Superman. So Superman on his home planet, on Krypton, he doesn't have any superpowers. It's just a normal kid. He's just a normal person. But when they come over to the Caribbean, another place, they have all these superpowers, and that's what we see. So they have these venomous spines that other fish have. They have different predation styles. So the way that lionfish hunt is different than the way any other fish hunt here. So the fish that they eat, they've never seen this type of predator before. Yeah. So think about like the movie Alien coming over.
Yeah. They basically take advantage.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, that's kind of scary.
So your lionfish pop-up with friends sounds interesting as well. Tell me a little about that.
On Sunday, we'll be at Rhythms at Rainbow Beach between 2 and 5. We'll have our info out there again, and then Chef Robert Grupp from 40 Strand in Christiansted he's going to be preparing lionfish for people to sample. It'll just be free samples on the beach. So it should be a beautiful afternoon. 2 and 5? 2 and 5 on Sunday for Sunday Fun Day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try. Okay. What else? So real quick rundown. I guess starting from today through Sunday, the events. So tomorrow is Friday. You're having the free handling sessions at the Agricultural Center, starting at 5 p.m. And then on Saturday, June 17th, from 5 to 8 p.m., you're having the, at Balter, the local restaurant here in Christiansted, you're having the Lionfish Night.
Yes.
So you come there, and is that gonna be like a dinner kind of thing? They're prepared and dinner, or?
I just spoke with them earlier today. It sounds like they may be doing a couple different things. Maybe tacos was one of the ideas.
Okay.
Maybe a ceviche. I don't know exactly, but I think they'll offer a couple of things. And what we suggested is offer smaller things so that people could just buy a small sample type thing instead of a whole meal. Yeah. And they really like that idea, but that's the folks at Balter that's their thing. So I'm not sure exactly what they're doing.
How it's going to come out, yeah.
Yeah, but we'll be there. We're going to have our table there and be hanging out and able to talk to people. And also, it's not just us. CORE may also come out for some of these events. Definitely the Sunday event, possibly the Saturday event. And that's where people can learn about how to get involved with their group and go diving to catch lionfish.
Oh, really? Okay. So there's nothing overly dangerous, in a sense. I mean, once you've been trained and understand what you're dealing with, you should be able to just go down there and catch a few of these things. Yeah,
you really can. And I think really when you get people holding them, seeing them, actually really feeling them, or you take people in the water, you can tell people all day that, it's not too bad, until you show them, until they see it themselves.
Yes.
Then they realize, it's just like any other fish. You don't want to get poked by it.
Okay. And then you have on June 18th, that's from 2 to 5, the Lionfish pop-up with friends. This is with the chef from 40 Strand. And explain what core is again now.
So CORE is a group of it's a dive group in
That resides here
in St. Croix and St. Thomas.
Okay.
So there's two groups, CORE and crabs, and they're both active in reef restoration and protection. And one of the big issues that CORE has really gotten behind is removal of lionfish. So once a month, CORE members come. They get on a dive boat, they go and they clear an area. They also have a website where when some CORE members, when they clear an area, you post on that website, hey, I cleared this area, letting people know, okay, this area is cleared. So they're not coming right behind each other.
You mean clear an area down below the water?
Clearing the area of lionfish. So CORE's really working to try to take it on themselves to what they look at it as kind of cleaning up their reefs, cleaning up lionfish off their reefs.
So, but if you clean an area, wouldn't they sort of like come back to the area?
They do, and there's more. And some of the research that we're looking at is how long does it take? But we know these lionfish are coming back, and really, CORE's working really hard, but it's in some ways they're making effects, but we really need more people. But what we're really hoping to get is the pros, the commercial fishermen. These are the guys that are going out every single day, and they're the ones that have been doing it their whole lives. They're the people for the job.
Right.
Okay, perfect, man.
Yeah. And that's why you're doing what you're doing, to get them to learn as much as they can, so that they can work towards this goal. So that's really
Humans
cool.
are really good at eating everything up, running out of food, and if we've done that before, we're thinking there may be something to that for the lionfish. We can possibly eat our way out of having them taking over the reefs.
Yes.
So how much longer are you going to be here doing this? Are you at the end of the whole program?
We're kind of at the end of the program. We leave the end of next week, and then this research will be, taken to a few different events to be shared. It's here. It's being shared multiple times as well. And I'm not sure exactly what Dr. Yandel and Sweeney Tooks and Larkin are going to do with this research, but it was a 2-year funded program under Sea Grant, and it looks like it's wrapping up now.
And what we're seeing, and we think that's going to be moving forward, and we've already started seeing this happen, is it's the people here that are really pushing this from here on out, and it's not going to be us, and that was the whole idea. The chefs here, the fishermen here, the divers here, they're the ones that are going to really continue to work on this lionfish issue. Okay,
so this is obviously something that we can't let die off to the side. Someone has to be always working on this, and hopefully more fishermen are involved and catching them.
And it's going to take a while. It's going to be, I think one of the serious struggles is also cultural. A lot of people see the fish and they think it's weird. They think it's a monster. They've heard bad things about it. So it's hard to say, go ahead and eat it. Order lionfish. Ask your favorite restaurant or ask your fisherman. And I think that's where all the locals that are here working on it are really the important ones, because they are their best salesmen. The fishermen selling their fish, the restaurant owners selling their plates of food. And so we're really looking forward to seeing how they take this and kind of run with it.
Yeah.
And when you leave, I hope there'll be an organization or someone monitoring how this is going along. And,
But how does DPNR fit into this? I mean, when you guys are not here, are they doing things to sort of,
good question.
keeping up with what's going on? Are they talking to the fishermen? Are they still
following in your footsteps?
Yeah. Is anybody sort of?
They're really interested in this. One thing that we see from working with DPNR, they're up to their ears and worked. They're juggling so many things at one time that the lionfish thrown on top of them is difficult, which is I think why they've been really receptive. They're happy with us coming down here to work with them. The other thing that we see from DPNR, we mentioned how much that they care about the natural reefs. They really care about the fishermen themselves. Okay. They're really working close in with the fishermen to have fish today and then have fish for the future. And so they're interested in helping the fishermen have another source of income, another fish, that's going to help their livelihood.
Yeah. Are there other regions that I guess are catching lionfish and selling it more readily, more available?
Oh yeah. So my experience previous to coming to the Virgin Islands is in Central America, in Belize.
Okay.
And lionfish is a very common dish on the menu now. When you walk up to any restaurant, when they have the spread of the lobster tails to choose from, they also have a spread of the lionfish sizes to choose from.
Okay.
And it's the same price point as a lobster plate. And they also make jewelry there. They also do derbies and bounties. So sometimes they'll set up programs where they pay people to catch them and bring them in.
Okay.
And that's just one country, but there's other places too that are very motivated. And again, I think that's part of how this research came about, is because people see that. They see that certain places are on it, and they're selling it, and they're trying to, basically eat out the enemy. Mm-hmm. And that hasn't necessarily been adopted here as quickly, but I think we do think there's the potential for it
To happen, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, perfect, man. Anything else?
Well, I think we've heard a lot. We've gotten a lot of information, and I sure hope that people who are looking at us and at them and listening to us will tell a friend to tell a friend. And so we need to just get the word out. Because I surely want to preserve our coral reef, and if the lionfish is delicious, as they say, I would really like to start eating some
Does it
We'll see you Saturday and Sunday.
So does the lionfish kind of a joke here, does it taste like chicken? You know how they say all things taste like chicken?
No, so much better than chicken.
So much better than chicken?
Not in the same ballpark.
Okay. Now, and you mentioned too when you were someplace and it's right next to the lobster tail. So has it already been has the spine's already been taken off, or the spine's still there on the fish?
Spines are cut off,
Okay.
and it's just a whole fish, so that you can see how big your fish is, and then they'll go like the price goes with the size of the fish.
Yeah,
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So like
Okay.
20 to 40 kind of price range.
Okay. That sounds good. All right, well, we want to thank you guys for coming on our studio tonight. Is there anything else that you guys want to add or share?
I have to say thank you to all the fishermen in St. Croix they enlightened me and they've brought a lot of really interesting stories to my life, and I appreciate them for letting me come into their community and understand their world. And then also Ruth Gomez and Juan over at DPNR, they helped us out a lot through this experience.
Okay.
This island's, we've gotten so much help through this whole process, and it's really a special place. The fishermen are amazing. The people here are just incredible. It's been an incredible experience for us, and so we're very thankful to have gotten to be here and know the people on St. Croix.
So we're gonna be able to expect you guys back next year, or
I hope. We're already talking about. We're trying to figure out how can we keep doing stuff in St. Croix.
Yeah.
Because this is a special island. It's it's very unique and beautiful, and
Well,
we want to
your
come back.
the research that you do, and the different things that you do, is it just geared at sea life, or other things? Just trying to think of other things that you can probably bring you back here.
Sure. Holden, you mostly focus on marine systems, right?
Yeah, so mostly I do work with marine ecology and fishery science. So yeah, I think there's plenty
Well,
of
that's a
reasons
good
for me to
enough
come
reason
back.
To come back, because we're on an
Yeah.
island.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we always could use your help.
But the reason I was asking that question is because you mentioned it was, I guess it's a 2-year grant, and I guess this is the end of the
This is
two.
end, yeah.
So what happens? Do you have to reapply to be able to come back, or will you be able to come back, do some other avenues to continue on with the whole process of educating and getting everybody kind of ramped up on lionfish and how good it is?
Yeah, I think that we're hopeful that we could work somehow to come back and work with people, getting information out there. And really now it's at that pivotal, this research is at that point where it should become more of, now let's figure out the marketing. Now
Okay.
let's figure out how we can get this adopted locally as
Okay.
a new food.
And the food, yeah.
And so it would be great if anyone's interested to have either Holden Harris or myself come out and work on those kinds of projects.
Yeah.
Because we do feel like we've connected heavily and
Yeah.
and are very passionate specifically about this area and this issue,
Okay.
and see a lot of good potential here.
Okay.
And the people we've met, we become friends with them, and we say, call us anytime, even if we don't, we'll talk with you for hours and hours. If we can, we'll come back. This is a place we care about. And this is an issue we care about. So even if we don't have grant money, we're going to do what we can to help out.
All right, perfect. Something I was just going to ask, but it slipped my mind there. So real quick, as we go through here, so starting tomorrow, which is Friday, June 16th, at 5 p.m., we have the free handling lessons at the Agricultural Center. And then on the 17th of June, from 5 to 8 p.m., we have Lionfish Night at Balter. And then on the 18th, from 2 to 5, we have the Lionfish Pop-Up. Lionfish Pop-Up with friends. Chef Robert Grouper at 40 Strand and Co. will be at Rhythms at Rainbow for a catch, clean, and taste extravaganza. I guess that's the same way to put that.
Yeah.
Same way to put that. Oh, the last thing I wanted to ask you guys is, any restaurants here that kind of serve lionfish on a regular basis now?
None that we've seen that have served it on a regular basis. There've been a couple that have put them on their menu.
Okay.
And they're interested in putting them on, or they put them on for a special.
Okay.
But they're interested in putting them on their menu and having it consistent.
Okay. So I guess the
yeah.
thing to do is when you go to a restaurant, just, hey, do you have any lionfish on the menu tonight?
There you go.
Yeah.
And if they say yeah,
Exactly.
you just say, give me some of that lionfish with some fondue or something, right?
Yep.
That's how that goes, right?
So it's up to the fishermen to get the lionfish into the restaurant.
Into the restaurant, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, we want to thank
Exactly.
you guys for coming in our studio tonight
you
and
so
spending a little
much.
bit of time.
Thank
Thank you guys.
And kind of enlightening us on the whole thing of lionfish and what you guys are doing, and hopefully it gets to the restaurants and that you'll be able to order that just like you order anything else
right.
from the menu. So this group does have some stuff coming up here over the next few days, starting tomorrow, Saturday, and Sunday. Check this out real quick there. 16th, 17th, and 18th. Pick your event and go check it out and learn as much as you can about the lionfish.
Or come to all of them.
You'll come to all of them.
You get to taste the fish and learn about the fish.
Learn about
There
the
you go.
fish too.
Please.
So, on that note, I want to thank Cindy for helping me out tonight. Soup is on special assignment, but he should be back here on Tuesday of next week. Cindy, you have any final words?
Well, it was a pleasure being here. As I said, I enjoyed speaking with Paulita and Holden here, and I sure learned a lot myself about the lionfish. And so it's always a pleasure being here, because of course I want to work with you and with your show's mission, which is to inform, entertain, and empower everyone.
That's what we do here. So.
Yes.
Well, once again, I want to thank you guys. We'll let you guys have the last word. There you are right there. Give us your last word.
All right.
Eat the enemy.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Hashtag eat the enemy.
Eat the enemy.
All right. Thank you guys for coming through. I just want to say real quick that this is the It's Your Perspective talk show every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We'll see you guys next week, Tuesday. We got more shows lined up and more fun stuff. On that note, we're out. Peace.